Dark Psychology Tactics, Part 3. Nuclear-level weapons. Entering the Dark Stratosphere. You've tasted power. You've navigated the subtle currents of influence. You've felt the undeniable rush of invisible control, the quiet satisfaction of shaping reality without anyone suspecting your hand. You now understand that most people operate on default settings, their minds open to subtle programming. But what if I told you there's a deeper echelon? A level of psychological mastery that transcends mere influence and delves into the art of fundamental behavioral restructuring? Now we go deeper into the truly forbidden tactics. The ones that don't just shift opinions but actively rewire loyalty, erase resistance, and yes, enslave minds without a single direct order. This is not about winning an argument. It's about owning the psychological battlefield. This is psychological warfare at its most refined, its most potent, and its most ethically ambiguous. You are stepping beyond persuasion and into the realm of true psychological architecture. Warning, let there be no ambiguity. These are not tools for casual experimentation. These are last resort weapons, designed for situations where absolute control is paramount. Once unleashed, once these codes are run, there's no going back. The impact is irreversible, and the perception of your character and the trust in your relationships will be fundamentally altered. Proceed with extreme caution, and only if you truly understand the gravity of what you are about to learn. Tactic number 13, the loyalty loop. How to make them addicted to pleasing you. Most men beg for loyalty, they demand it, or they try to buy it with grand gestures. The master of dark psychology knows this is a fool's game. You don't beg for loyalty, you engineer it. You create an unbreakable addiction to your approval, a relentless pursuit of your validation. This is the loyalty loop. Step 1. Grant unexpected rewards at random intervals. Begin by providing unexpected, disproportionate rewards. This could be lavish praise for a minor task, granting exclusive access to information or a social circle, sharing a deeply personal secret, or offering an unearned promotion or opportunity. The key is that these rewards are unpredictable and asymmetrical to their efforts. They didn't earn it in a linear fashion. It felt like a gift from the gods. This creates a powerful dopamine hit, associating you with intense positive feelings. Step 2. Introduce subtle withdrawal phases. After a period of these unexpected rewards, subtly and without explanation, introduce phases of withdrawal. Become cold, distant, less responsive. Your attention, once freely given, becomes scarce. Their efforts to please you might be met with indifference or even mild disapproval. This doesn't have to be overt punishment. Simply remove the positive reinforcement they've become accustomed to. Step 3. Watch as they chase the high of your approval like a gambler chasing a jackpot. Their brain, now addicted to the unpredictable dopamine hits from your approval, will go into overdrive. They will frantically try to regain your warmth, assuming they've done something wrong. They will escalate their efforts, double their dedication, seek your attention relentlessly, and modify their behavior to try and trigger that elusive reward again. They are now caught in a self-reinforcing loop, chasing the next high, a psychological gamble where you hold all the cards. Why it works? The brain is exquisitely wired to respond to intermittent reinforcement. It craves unpredictable rewards more than consistent ones. Think of a slot machine. If it paid out every time, it would be boring. The possibility of a payoff, coupled with its unpredictability, makes it addictive. You become the ultimate slot machine for their emotional well-being and sense of worth. Their efforts are not driven by external obligation, but by an internalized biological craving for your validation. They are literally addicted to pleasing you. Real-world application. Consider a CEO who randomly promotes a mid-level employee to a highly visible project, praising their unseen potential. Then, for weeks, the CEO ignores the employee, offering no further feedback or recognition. The employee, desperate to recapture that initial high and prove worthy of the unexpected reward, often doubles or triples their effort, working late nights, taking on extra responsibilities, all just to feel that brief, powerful surge of validation from the CEO again. They are no longer working for salary, they are working for a hit of the loyalty drug you've administered. Tactic number 14, the false enemy. How to control by manufacturing a threat. Unity is power, and nothing unites a group or an individual faster and more fiercely than facing a common enemy. This is the core of the false enemy tactic, creating an external threat, real or imagined, to solidify your control and position yourself as the indispensable protector. Step 1. Identify their insecurities. Delve deep into the target's anxieties, their hidden fears, and their past traumas. Are they insecure about their status, their intelligence, their ability to compete? Have they experienced past betrayals or injustices? Are they paranoid about certain outcomes? This is the fertile ground where you will plant the seeds of your manufactured threat. Step 2. Introduce a shadow opponent, real or imagined. Once you understand their vulnerabilities, subtly introduce the idea of an external threat that targets those specific insecurities. This enemy doesn't have to be real or overtly aggressive. It just needs to be plausible enough to trigger their existing anxieties. It could be a rival department, a competitor, a societal trend, or even a vague they who are out to get them. Example, to a rising executive you might whisper, "I've noticed how rival colleague X always seems to subtly undermine your contributions in meetings, especially when the senior partners are present. It's almost like they're trying to make you look bad." Or to a friend feeling insecure, "It seems like society is really out to dismiss people like us, those who truly see things differently." The threat is vague enough to be undeniable, yet specific enough to resonate. Step 3. Position yourself as their only ally. Once the seed of the enemy is planted, immediately position yourself as the singular, most reliable ally in their struggle against this threat. You become their shield, their confidant, their strategist. You offer solutions, insights, or protection that only you can provide. Why it works? The psychology here is fundamental. Fear of loss is a far more powerful motivator than the desire for gain. When people perceive an external threat, their primal fight or flight response kicks in. They seek safety, and if you are positioned as their only source of safety, their loyalty becomes absolute. You become their indispensable protector against a danger that you, yourself, might have subtly orchestrated or exaggerated. They are now bound to you not by choice, but by a perceived necessity for survival. Execution. Consider a shrewd political advisor whispering to a vulnerable politician, "Look, the media establishment is planning a coordinated attack to destroy your reputation and career. But I have the connections, the insights, and the strategy to stop it. I can protect you." The politician, gripped by the fear of annihilation, immediately latches onto the advisor. Now the target depends on him, not for advancement but for sheer survival. The politician will make sacrifices, concede power, and grant unwavering loyalty, all to fend off a phantom threat that the advisor deftly conjured. Tactic number 15, the debt trap. How to make them owe you without a favor. True power isn't about collecting explicit favors. It's about cultivating the illusion of debt, making someone feel profoundly indebted to you, even when you've done nothing of substance. This perceived obligation is far more powerful than actual debt, as it's rooted in their internal moral compass. Step 1. Do something seemingly generous but costs you nothing. Perform an action that appears to be a significant act of generosity, but in reality, costs you absolutely nothing in terms of resources, effort, or genuine sacrifice. This could be making a connection that was already open, sharing information that was public, or waiving a fee that never existed. Step 2. Frame it as a sacrifice. This is the critical manipulation. After performing the seemingly generous act, frame it as a personal sacrifice you made specifically for them. Emphasize the effort, the difficulty, or the special nature of what you did. Use loaded language. I really went out of my way to get this for you, or no one else would have done this. I pulled some serious strings, or I had to make a tough call, but I decided you were worth it. Step 3. Let their mind inflate the perceived value. The target's mind, faced with your apparent sacrifice and the obvious benefit they received, will fall victim to cognitive dissonance. To reconcile the perceived kindness with the effort you claimed, they will unconsciously inflate the true value of what you did. They must rationalize your kindness by valuing it, and by extension you, far more than is objectively warranted. They feel an unspoken yet powerful obligation to reciprocate. Why works? Humans are wired for reciprocity. We feel uncomfortable being in debt. When you present a perceived act of sacrifice on their behalf, even if it's a phantom one, their internal moral compass triggers. They feel an irrational but compelling urge to balance the scales. This isn't about a direct favor. It's about a psychological pressure to acknowledge your generosity by elevating your status, granting you goodwill, or making future concessions. They will rationalize your kindness by valuing you more, making them susceptible to your future influence. Case study. A car salesman is closing a deal. The client is hesitant about a small, seemingly negotiable administrative fee. The salesman, with a grave expression, says, "You know what? This is highly unusual and my manager is going to kill me, but I'm going to waive that $500 fee for you. Consider it my personal contribution to making this happen." The client feels a profound sense of gratitude. What the client doesn't know is that the $500 fee was never a real charge. It was a fictitious line item added to the price, designed specifically to be waived. The client now feels obligated to buy, not just because they got a deal, but because the salesman sacrificed for them. The illusion of debt drives the sale. Tactic number 16, the memory edit. How to rewrite their past. The past is not fixed. It is a narrative, a story we tell ourselves. And that story, like any other, is malleable. The memory edit allows you to subtly yet profoundly rewrite a person's personal history, replacing painful or inconvenient truths with narratives that serve your agenda, ultimately bending their sense of reality. Step 1. Identify a painful memory they'd rather forget. Target a specific memory that causes them shame, regret, anger, or discomfort. This is the weak point in their psychological defenses, a memory they already have an emotional incentive to reinterpret or suppress. Step 2. Offer a new narrative. Do not directly deny their memory. Instead, introduce an alternative interpretation, a plausible new story that reframes the original event. This new narrative should alleviate their pain, shift blame, or provide a more palatable understanding. Example: someone recounts a painful betrayal by a friend. You might gently suggest, maybe they didn't actively betray you. Perhaps you just misunderstood their intentions at the time, or they were operating under pressures you couldn't see. Sometimes what looks like malice is just profound misunderstanding. You're not saying it didn't happen. You're offering a different lens through which to view it. Step 3. Repeat until their own mind replaces the truth. Consistency and subtle repetition are key. Whenever the topic arises, subtly reinforce your new narrative. Present it as a gentle insight, a compassionate alternative. Avoid confrontation. Over time, as their brain grapples with the emotional discomfort of the original memory and the comforting plausibility of your version, their mind will begin to prioritize the more agreeable story. They will unconsciously begin to remember it your way. Why it works? The human brain is a master storyteller. It prioritizes coherence and emotional comfort over strict factual accuracy, especially concerning past events. Consistent external input, especially when it resolves internal conflict or pain, can subtly override raw memory. The brain will begin to trust the consistent, comforting storytelling you provide over its own fragmented, painful recollection. They will literally rewrite their own past to align with your more palatable version, not just believing it but remembering it as truth. Nuclear example. This is a hallmark tactic of cult leaders. A new follower might recount a painful experience of being abandoned by their family after joining the cult. The leader doesn't deny the abandonment. Instead, they reframe it. Your family didn't abandon you. They freed you. They released you from the chains of their worldly attachments, allowing you to find true enlightenment and belonging here with us. The leader repeats this narrative, reinforced by the community. Over time, the follower not only believes it but feels genuine gratitude for the freedom their family granted them, transforming a painful memory into a cornerstone of their new loyalty. They now thank their abusers, completely unaware their past has been edited. Tactic number 17, the invisible hand. How to control groups without leading. The strongest leaders are never seen as leaders. They operate from the shadows, their influence so pervasive and subtle that the group believes its decisions are entirely self-generated. This is the invisible hand, a masterclass in covert group manipulation. Step 1. Plant an idea anonymously. The first step is to introduce your desired idea or course of action into the group's consciousness without any identifiable source. This can be done through carefully crafted rumors, strategic leaks of information, casual whispers to influential members, or even anonymous suggestions circulated through internal channels. The idea must seem to emerge organically from the group's own environment. Step 2. Let the group adopt it as their own. Once the idea is circulating, step back. Allow the group members to discuss, debate, and, crucially, adopt the idea as if it were their own organic brainchild. They will champion it, defend it, and even expand upon it, feeling a deep sense of ownership and pride because they believe they originated it. You are simply a quiet observer. Step 3. When it succeeds, reveal your influence, making them feel like they chose you. Only after the idea has taken root and ideally yielded positive results, do you subtly, almost coincidentally, reveal your initial, anonymous input. You might casually mention, "You know, when I first floated that idea about X a few weeks back, I wasn't sure if it would take off, but I'm thrilled you all ran with it." Or, "I'm glad my early thoughts on this aligned with what the team decided was best." This revelation is not a boast, but a quiet affirmation of shared vision. Why works? People inherently resist direct authority or being told what to do. They fiercely protect their autonomy and their sense of agency. However, they will passionately embrace and champion ideas they believe are their own or their group's. By subtly planting the seed and then letting the group cultivate it, you bypass all resistance. When the idea succeeds, and you then reveal your subtle initial influence, they don't feel manipulated. Instead, they feel a profound, unconscious trust in you because your foresight aligned perfectly with their eventual discovery. You didn't lead them. You simply saw the path they were destined to take, making you seem prescient, insightful, and subtly indispensable. Real-world power move. A shadow advisor wants a CEO to pursue a risky but potentially lucrative acquisition. Instead of proposing it directly, he casually mentions to a key board member, "You know, with the current market, a bold acquisition like target company could really solidify our position. Just a thought." He then drops similar subtle hints to other influential figures. The board discusses it, comes to the collective realization that it's a brilliant idea, and recommends it to the CEO. When the acquisition proves successful, the advisor might humbly remark, "I'm just glad my initial analysis pointed us in the right direction. It's great to see the team execute so well on its own initiative." The board now trusts him unconsciously, seeing him as someone whose vision simply aligns with their own best ideas, cementing his unseen influence. Tactic number 18, the irrevocable command. How to make them obey before they decide. Some orders must never sound like orders. They must sound like inevitabilities, like predetermined facts that the target is simply realizing. This is the irrevocable command, a linguistic weapon that bypasses conscious deliberation and compels action by pre-framing the outcome. Step 1. Use presupposition language. The core of this tactic lies in language that presupposes the desired action. Instead of saying, "If you do X," you say, "When you do X, you'll notice Y." This subtle shift from "if" to "when" removes the option of not doing X from the listener's mental model. You are embedding the command within a certainty. Example, instead of, "If you try our new service, you might like it," try, "When you start using our new service, you'll immediately notice how much time you save and how much more efficient you become." The decision to start using it is already assumed. Step 2. Frame it as inevitable. Reinforce the presupposition by framing the desired outcome as a natural, undeniable progression, something that smart people, or those who understand, inevitably realize. Example, smart people always realize this eventually. Taking control of their finances is the first step towards true freedom. Or, it's only a matter of time before you understand that this is the best path forward for you. You're not asking them to decide, you're simply stating a future reality. Step 3. Watch them comply, just to avoid cognitive dissonance. The human brain, once presented with a presupposed future, will strive to make that future a reality to avoid cognitive dissonance. To not comply would mean challenging the inevitable, appearing unintelligent, or going against a pre-established fact. They will often comply without consciously realizing they were commanded, believing they arrived at the decision independently. Why works? The brain's automatic processing mechanisms are highly susceptible to presuppositions. It auto-completes assumed futures, building a mental pathway to the outcome you've suggested. The desire for internal consistency, to align actions with perceived truths, is a powerful motivator. You are not telling them what to do, you are telling them what they will do or what is happening, and their subconscious mind will then work to make that a reality. Deadly example. This tactic is used in highly manipulative relationships to break down resistance. A manipulator might say to a vulnerable individual, "When you leave your husband, you'll finally be truly free to be yourself, and you'll notice how much lighter you feel." Notice the powerful presupposition of leaving, coupled with the promise of emotional relief. The manipulator is not telling the victim to leave. They are merely describing the inevitable positive outcome of an action already assumed to be happening. The seed is planted. The victim's mind begins to connect leaving with freedom and lightness, and over time begins to believe it was their idea all along, a realization they simply came to. The victim starts believing it was her idea, her own desire, leading to a path of compliance she never consciously chose. Final warning: the point of no return. These tactics don't just influence, they reprogram. They are not about gentle nudges, they are about deep-seated psychological re-engineering. Use them once and you will forever see through society's illusions. You will recognize the hidden puppeteers, the subtle strings, the constant psychological warfare being waged around you. The world will never be the same. Use them recklessly for personal gain without ethical consideration, and you will inevitably lose the ability to connect authentically without relying on control. Your relationships will become tactical. Every interaction, a calculation. You will find yourself isolated in the very power you craved, unable to forge genuine bonds because your default operating mode will be manipulation. This is the price of ultimate power. It offers unparalleled control, but it risks stripping away the very humanity that makes connection meaningful. Your nuclear option. The game was always rigged. Now you don't just hold the deck. You understand the entire operating system of the casino. There is no more passive observation. Choose one tactic from Part 3. Just one. Internalize its chilling precision. Understand its power. Then deploy it within the next 24 hours. Find an opportunity, a high-stakes interaction, and execute with absolute focus. And when you see it work, when you witness the profound, irreversible shift in another's behavior or perception, when you feel the absolute grip of psychological control, ask yourself, how far am I truly willing to go? Because the darkest psychology isn't ultimately about controlling others. It's about surviving in a world already playing these very games on you. It's about being the architect, not the casualty. This isn't Part 3. This is the final boss, the final trigger. Burn this into your mind. You've seen the patterns. You've felt the shift in your understanding, the chilling clarity that comes with this knowledge. Now, you know something most never will. Weak minds walk blind into traps. Power walks in silence. You are no longer average. You are no longer merely reacting to the world around you, a pawn in someone else's unseen game. You are becoming the observer, the architect, the quiet controller of your own destiny and the narratives you inhabit. The world is your chessboard and you are learning to dictate the moves. And this is just the beginning of your transformation. The curtain has been pulled back and there's no closing it now. Because Black Mirror influence isn't just a channel, it's a transformation pipeline. Every video we release isn't content, it's a weapon. Every insight, a psychological advantage. We are equipping you for the unseen battles of the mind. So here's your final, undeniable move. Subscribe now. Not to support the channel, not to stay updated, but to join a hidden layer of individuals who aren't seen, they're felt. They don't beg for attention, they command it. They don't react, they create. Because on this side of the screen, we're not building content, we're building control. So hit that subscribe button. Now, lock in, commit, stay dangerous, because the next video, will upgrade your mind like this one never dared. It will expose a layer of influence so subtle, so ingrained in human nature, that you'll wonder how you ever lived without it, how you ever navigated a single social interaction without this ultimate insight. Black Mirror Influence. Welcome to the shadows of influence. Your true journey begins now.